I've been asked by Rob to tell you a couple of the old stories of the Grafnet Rugby Club in my time that I played. I remember going on one of our many trips to Port Elizabeth with Tim Murray, whose car was always available. And he told us the story about when the days that he played was before the war. They went to Middelburg. And as they travelled along, which obviously was ground road in those days, on the way they passed a chap. And this chap walking on the road. And they contemplated whether they should give him a lift or not. And they decided that the car was a bit full and that they weren't going to offer him a lift. Anyway, a little while later, they got a flat wheel. And while they were changing the wheel, he came walking past saying, Morris here, and lifting his head. And they greeted him and they carried on with their job and they passed him again. A little while later, they got a second flat wheel. This time there wasn't a spare wheel, so they had to use patching and solution to fix it, the wheel. And this chap came walking past again. Morris here. And they greeted him again and they thought to themselves, no, the car's still too full. Anyway, the conscience started pricking, and a little while later they passed him again. And they stopped and they said, look, we've passed you twice now already. Don't you want a lift from us? We'll make a plan. So I said, nee, dankie seer, ek is 'n bietjie haastig. I left school in 1957. So I started playing rugby for Grafnet in 1958. We went on a rugby tour to Mossel Bay, George and Oudtshoorn. I was the baby of the team. Some of these guys in our team were actually just about twice my age. So I was very much the baby. It was a very much of a learning experience to see what these senior guys get up to on a trip like this. But unfortunately, things that go on tour stay on tour. So I can't tell you too much about the naughty things of the tour. I can tell you that we had a pretty good team in those days. We had a chap called John Victor, who was the fullback for many years for Grafnet. The wings were, I think, Les Prinsloo and Toy Smith to an extent. And a chappie called Freekie van Lochenberg from Kliplaat. The centres were both chaps that played rugby for Eastern Province, Sterling Pienaar and Sam Pearson. His younger brother, Loki, was the fly-off. A chap called Loki Victor, who was the brother of the fullback, was the scrum-off. He also played for Eastern Province. Other chaps in our team were two brilliant locks, Brian Charles and Dirk Albertine, who both played provincial rugby. The front ranker, I can't remember too well. I think his name was Imo Kutsia. And the hooker was Robert Featherston, who was well known in these districts. Jan Germeshuizen, who was double my age, was the one flank. Can't remember the other flank was too well. I was the 8th man. And we had a very successful tour. I think we beat the Mossel Bay team. I think we drew with the George team. We beat the Army in Oudtshoorn quite well. And our team lost the match against the Oudtshoorn town. That was a pretty good trip. A couple of years later, 1960, we went on a tour to Cape Town. We still had a pretty good team. I remember that we had big rains in which the Grafnet Dam actually filled up overnight. We young guys were visiting at the training college with young teachers over there. And we got a message at the college that we must not try and get home because the rivers were in full flood. We ended up spending 2 or 3 days in town because the bridge on the Sundays River had been washed away and the sides after the dam at Bloemhof had been broken. We had to dig our ways home by spade, and we only got home on the Wednesday. We have to leave on a rugby tour to Cape Town on the Friday. I remember my dad saying to me, you only get home to do your washing and to go off again. We had a problem in getting to Cape Town because the rivers were all in flood. The Kariga River, the water was over the bridge. So we decided to go via Maritzburg along a longer route, but be able to get out that way. The Graafrenet municipality actually had to grade the road on the mountain drive because there wasn't a bridge over the river at the Urquhart Park yet. It was a low-level bridge. And to get us out as a Graafrenet rugby team away to go on tour, they had to grade the road along the mountain drive to get the Graafrenet rugby team down to Cape Town. We played 2 matches, one against Belvoir, pretty strong team. I think we did reasonably well against them. And we had a particularly good match against Gardens. I think we might have had a bit of assistance from the referee because his name was Robert Boyce and he was married to Billy Kingwell's sister Elise from Koloniesplas, so he had Graafrenet connections. Another one of our trips was many trips to Port Elizabeth was when the ladies of Graafrenet started complaining because the men used to go down by train on a Friday and come back on a Saturday night. And they reckoned that too much time was being spent away from home. So then we started going down by motorcar, which in those days was ground road through Perreport. We had to open gates, and in spite of bad roads and conditions, we never ever had an accident that I can recall. Nowadays the people ride into kudus and things. I don't know what happened to the kudus in those days. Maybe the cars rattled so much that they chased the kudus away. One year we had particular problems because one of our star players had been caught for stock theft and he was sentenced to 6 months in jail. We tried to appeal to the authorities to let him off for the Saturdays when we needed him desperately, but he had to sit for at least 4 months and we couldn't get him off to help us out on our days that we needed it. And on one of these trips to Port Elizabeth, some guys decided to stay a bit later that night because the one in particular had a girlfriend down there who was actually Miss Humewood, beautiful woman, and she was keen to go dancing that night. So the other 2 guys in the motor car had to find something else to do while he was busy dancing his girlfriend. When they got back to Graafrenet, it was just about dawn, and they decided that they were in serious trouble. This chap whose girlfriend it was had got a bit of a knock against his head in the match, and they decided that they would have to spin the story. So they decided that just outside Graafrenet is a place called Dryneath, where one of the old Bethesda people, Jubilee Leemon, was the manager for the Van Rensburgs. They decided that they would stop at Dryneath because the train had to stop there at 7 o'clock to pick up the cream cans. This guy would then go and visit Jubilee at 7 o'clock in the morning, while the other 2 carried on by train to Graafrenet, where they found their wives at the station to come and fetch them. On inquiring why they came back by train, they said that this chap had a knock against the head and he had a bit of concussion, and the hospital wanted to keep him for observation. Meantime, he came back at about 11 o'clock. He was a bachelor, so he had no problems. But the other 2 chaps were in trouble, and they had to keep this quiet. So until today, the story has never come out. So we won't mention any names. But as I said earlier on, what goes on tour stays on tour.